One of the best ways to make sure we're having a low impact on our joints when we train. Training is great, it improves longevity, it improves even cognitive slowdown, believe it or not, but none of that has any use if it comes at the cost of your physical health. How can we minimize the toll working out takes on our bodies? I've got a few techniques, let's run through them now. Make sure you warm up well. There's no use going to a gym, pushing yourself to the extreme if you haven't warmed up, and that's when injuries happen. And if injuries don't happen in the short term, then long term, joint pain, knee pain, joints aren't knees, joint knee pain, muscle damage, overall physical fatigue is gonna set in. People think they can get away with training without warming up for ages and ages because they never get an injury. The problem is that catches up with you in the long run. So make sure you warm up. My technique for warming up, I always do 1 or 2 feeler sets of every exercise. Feeler set is basically a nice light version of the exercise. Typically it's about half the weight I'd normally use. We go for between 10 and 15 reps, just to get a nice feel of the movement, start to feel the muscle working, start to take the pressure off the joints, lubricate them a little bit until you can feel the actual muscle you're trying to train contracting and working. Another tip, this one's slightly controversial for some, avoid super heavy lifting if possible. When you're young and you have superhuman regeneration, as I still kind of have, you can lift super heavy on every exercise and not pay the price. The problem is when you get a little bit older and your joints are a little bit more worn, if you're constantly lifting heavy, this does do damage to your joints. Because the thing with joints is, yes, your muscles can get stronger, your joints only really start to get used to weight though. They don't really get stronger themselves. So if you're constantly pushing yourself to the limit in terms of weight, all that weight on your joints over time is gonna lead to some negative outcomes. So if you can, save your heavy lifting for just a few different exercises, things like the compound lifts or any exercises you're using like a personal record to motivate you for. You don't need to be abusing yourself with heavy weight for every set and every exercise, because trust me, it will catch up to you. I've been training close to 10 years, and throughout the years, there's been a visible, noticeable difference in how heavy lifting makes me feel. When I started lifting, I was 18, 19, and I could lift heavy all day long and recover the next day. My joints felt great. Now, if I unrack a heavy bench press, my joints are creaking, my wrists hurt. Heavy lifting adds up, so really be sparing with how you use it. Another piece of controversial advice, if you're worried about getting injured and you feel a lot of joint pain when you use things like free weights, there's nothing wrong with using machines and cables. Machines and cables were designed for a specific strength curve and to keep you safe as you exercise that movement. So if you feel uncomfortable doing things like free weights, dumbbells feel a little bit precarious, you feel like it's damaging your joints, don't be afraid to swap to a machine. Machines and cables were made for a reason. In a lot of cases, cables are going to provide a more consistent strength curve. Throughout certain movements, we actually find that cables provide a more consistent resistance. Things like cable side raises are a lot better than dumbbell side raises. Why? Because the resistance on your delt not only is in the direction you want it to be, but it's also consistent throughout the movement. When you go to something like a dumbbell, dumbbells are very hard in a certain point and very easy in another point. So if free weights leave you feeling a little bit vulnerable, there is no harm in using cables and machines. If you only take one thing from this video, it's the importance of longevity over immediate results. Yes, it's fun to absolutely blitz yourself and get a lot of results really, really fast, but in the grand scheme of things, in the long run of your life, your body's gonna thank you for taking the extra steps to take care of your joints. Like I said, I've trained for about a decade, and I've done so relatively safely, but even I can feel the impacts of the training I did when I was younger. If you extrapolate that over a longer life, those effects are gonna compound. So as much as you can, protect your muscles and preserve your joints. You only really get one set, may as well look after them. If you got some value from this, feel free to subscribe. I release a video pretty much every day. That being said, I'll see you in the next one.